Welcome back to the Top Step. It's now time for the San Juan Seltzer interview. We're down at the ballpark with none other, Pete Woodworth. Pete, welcome.
Glad to be here.
It's not your first time, by the way. You're like an OG. I mean, you were like in the old version of the Top Step.
That's right.
Yeah.
Audio only.
That's right. No, it wasn't audio. No, we had some Zoom.
It was a Zoom. That's right. It was during COVID.
That was. Yeah, it was during COVID. This is audio only, by the way.
Back in the bobblehead days.
That's right. I still have the bobblehead. And by the way, I didn't bring him. I didn't want to break him. He sits on the desk.
He doesn't travel.
Have you not been paying attention to the show? He's right there on the desk. No, he's like the centerpiece of the show. So, no, massive thank you. And the backstory behind the bobblehead, your dad actually made that.
Yeah.
And you and I had never met. We'd never met in person. I think we barely even spoke. I got this package. I never forget, man. I got this that was it the COVID season or 2021? I'm trying to remember.
It was 2020.
Yeah, it was. I get this package, and I'm like, and it was from Pete Woodworth. I'm like, have they messed up like the address or whatever? And I open it, and as I'm opening it up, I'm like, I've gotten a little mouthy on the show and talking about the Mariners. I'm like, have I said something to offend the pitching coach? I'm like, is this some like package, like some?
Gotta open it up very carefully.
Right. No, and I was like, for a split second, it was the coolest thing ever. But your dad actually makes bobbleheads, right?
Yeah. Well,
no,
he wasn't. He hadn't. Obviously, he's listened and watched every game.
Yeah.
He became a big Mariners fan in 2020, and he really enjoyed you and
appreciate it.
Everything that you did for the team, and I don't know where the idea came from. He had done some strange different arts and crafts things in the past for people for gifts,
right.
But he came up with this bobblehead idea, and I was like, yeah, go for it. And then since then, there's been like 10 or 12 of them that we've made together and given to either different players or friends.
I can't overstate this, and I'm sort of like, there's so much I want to get into here in this chat, and you've got so much happening here at the beginning of the season, but I can't overstate enough how cool that was to get that. It really was super cool. And then also too, as a chance for me to have a relationship, with you. I mean, you pitch, so did I. I get a chance to watch this, watch this team and this rotation. I get to go to the best source, man. So
nothing like a budding friendship with sending a bobblehead to a stranger.
It was awesome. A lot of effort, dude. Again, very grateful. But listen, we're rolling into 2025, right? This offseason, a couple things went down. Number one, all anyone talks about after 2024 and after the last couple of years, the Mariners literally have the best rotation start to finish, and you're the man, dude. You're in charge of that rotation, and obviously the pitching staff. Do you ever sit back and kind of just think, hey, man, I'm killing it?
No, I sit back and am extremely grateful that I get a front row seat to it every day, and surrounded by awesome people. Trent Blank, Tony Arnerich, our bullpen coach, our bullpen catchers are phenomenal. We have a lot of fun getting to, again, like just have a front row seat to watch those guys, not just compete in the game, but develop in between starts. But
what is it, though, in regards to this rotation? There is so much talent across Major League Baseball. There's so much talent in AA, in AAA. And before this group of 5 or even 6, counting Emerson Hancock and George Kirby, who starts here in the IL. But even when you were coming up through the minor leagues as a pitching coach, you'd always hear your name. Oh, yeah, well, look, I'd gotten to this place, or I'd worked on this, or, hey, what got me over this hump was Woody, man, Pete Woodworth. I kept hearing your name before you even got here. And then when you got here, it's like it wasn't this situation where it was like you were just a babysitter. You were sitting here kind of, oh, well, these guys are good. There's so much that happens behind the scenes. So if you can pat yourself on the back, and I know you're going to try and deflect this attention, but what separates you from other pitching coaches, or what is it that you try and do with these guys to get them to a certain level? Because it's not easy, man. There's so much talent in AA, and guys just never get to the big leagues. They never figure it out mentally, physically. What is it?
That's a tough one to answer because I don't know what other pitching coaches do.
Right.
And it's kind of something I struggled with in the minor leagues was I didn't know what other guys did, what it looked like. You just had to find your own your own identity, your own niche, your own way of communicating. You're on your little island in Modesto or Little Rock or wherever you're at. You got your 13 guys, and you have to figure out who you are as a pitching coach to help those guys. So it's tough to answer because I don't know how Mike Maddox does it. I don't know how Mel Stottlemyre, I know how I do it, and I don't know if it's the right way.
Right.
But it's worked for now.
When you went from that to get into the big leagues, and obviously it's the big leagues, everything changes, right? The game's wins and losses count, man. Guys' performance, essentially your job's on the line. If you don't perform as a coach, it's so cutthroat, man. As a manager, as a pitching coach, and I had 6 different managers in a short span. I had multiple pitching coaches, all with different styles, and I picked and chose things I liked. With the relationship with this one, I could open up to this one. I had to be careful what I said to this one. But when you got to the big leagues, was it a huge adjustment? There had to be nerves too. That opening day when you were rocking up, we just had opening day recently. If you can think back to that first year.
Luckily, my first year, there was nobody in the stands.
That's true, 2020.
It was a really strange year, but I'm grateful for it because I was 26, 28. I don't know. I was 30. I was young.
Yeah.
And even with nobody in the stands in Houston, I was nervous as I've ever been. So it was a good. It wasn't a practice year; those were real games. But it was good for me and some of our other coaches just to get that experience without having 45,000 people, without having extra distractions and pressures.
That first run out to the mound, telling someone who's scuffling in the 5th, 6th inning. Do you remember your first ever time running out to the mound or what?
No.
Was it don't trip or say the right things? Or what was it?
Don't trip. I don't remember the first one. I remember a really bad one in Yankee Stadium with Paul Sewald and Tom Murphy. I gave him some analogy of fighting a bear and being bigger than a bear, or cowering and pretending to be dead, and bases were loaded or 2 guys on, and it was Judge, Stanton, Joey Gallo, all 6'8", 300-pound bears coming up, and sure enough, Joey Gallo hit a 3-run homer into the New York skyline.
Are you a big analogy guy? Do you walk out there and try and give him something a little
Not
deeper?
after that.
Really?
That was the last one.
How was that received? After that, we're SeaWorld's pretty easy going.
Yeah, we joked around about it since then.
All right.
But Tom Murphy did go, that's probably the last time you talk about bears on the mound.
I like it. Nice. All right. You go out, plenty of mound visits. This rotation, talk about how good they are. And you feel like there's this philosophy. I talk to guys in the minor leagues, and they have this sense where any chance they get to talk to pitchers who are A-ball, AA, AAA, they kind of have this sense where it's like, all right, if I want to get to the next level, the philosophy is here, and I've heard Logan talk about it. He talked about it. He talked about when he was on the show with me, and at the beginning of the season, and even at other events, he says, "Oh well, the philosophy we just all fill up the zone, throw strikes." And you look at some of the numbers when you're talking about strike percentage, first strike percentage, it's off the charts. 1 through 5, everyone's up there in the top, top percentile of that. There's got to be more to it though, man. Why are 30 teams not looking at the Seattle Mariners and saying, "Oh yeah, hey, look, they're strike throwers. Obviously, you're trying to throw strike." Can you dive into what is the philosophy here with the Mariners? And don't tell me, it's filling up the zone, because everyone's trying to throw strikes, dude. Right? Everyone's trying to get to 2. But what is it, man? What is that philosophy? What separates the Seattle Mariners, this rotation in the big leagues, and then that trickles down through the minor leagues to any other team?
I even made the mistake of thinking that the big leagues was more complicated than it needed to be.
Right.
And guys were more savant than the AA, AAA guys. They were smarter. They were more intelligent. Than every guy's the same.
Yeah.
And so the idea that once you get to the big leagues, you have to be able to do all this complex stuff isn't true. It's actually who can do the simplest tasks the most consistent are the guys who are really good in this game. When you're at the big league level, everybody has stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't get there without stuff. So the talent level's pretty even. Mm-hmm. It's who can consistently execute Skubal didn't get the Cy Young because he has better stuff than the other 349 start pitchers in the league.
Yeah.
He got it because he executed 3 more sliders than Logan did last year per game.
Yeah.
And
is it, okay, you have to be able to execute. And I'm about to dive into something like, in regards to the way you sort of interact with a minor leaguer who you're trying to push to get to the next level. Is it something where it's like, all right, you have this really good secondary pitch. It's good enough. Let's not try and overstuff this pitch. Let's figure out a way. How can you consistently get that in the strike zone? Is it pitch number 2, pitch number 3, where you can have a repertoire? Because I remember when I got to the big league, it's like, hey man, you have to throw 4 pitches for a strike, especially my stuff too. I didn't have like
you weren't that bad.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have like that one out pitch.
Yeah.
Is it more to do with, all right, pitch number 2, pitch number 3, let's figure out a way to get this in the strike zone consistently?
Depends on the guy.
Okay.
I think the guys that are in our rotation were fortunate to have like a carrying pitch. Logan showed up with the big riding high extension 4-seam in the upper 90s. He didn't have anything else.
Okay.
George had the 4-seam that he commanded better than anybody on the planet. Secondaries were okay. Bryce had the big 4-seam. He had that magical month where nobody touched his fastball.
Yeah.
He didn't have much else. And then they figured out that like they have the one carrying tool that gets them there. And then, like I said, I thought big leaguers were finished products. And our guys show that they're constantly evolving and developing and adding and subtracting and sharpening.
All right, so dive into that then. All right, so you said, all right, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, 2 guys. Talk about the fastball. So plus fastball, Logan has that plus extension. I'll talk about Logan for a minute. How's that process work into developing another pitch? Obviously, the split was a big one that came along. I remember talking to you a couple of years ago. He had that bigger, slower curveball. He kind of ditched that. And maybe he kind of messed with it a little bit later on, but he kind of ditched that. He had to have that sharper slider. What is that process like? Is that in between starts? You're in the bullpen. How do you come up with that?
Again, it's different for every guy, but for Logan's case, his first year he had this big sweeper. He had the big slow curveball, and he had a changeup. There was a fastball up here, a curveball up here, a slider, and a changeup over here. He was creating all this movement in all these different directions because that's on paper. That sounds, let's get pitches to move in all different directions, throw them right down the middle, good things happen. But big league hitters told us that, like, hey, I know this isn't a fastball, so I'm not going to swing at it.
Right. And you're talking about arm slot, right?
Yeah, tunneling.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want.
The tunneling was an issue with him, with the release?
Yeah. He had multiple different release spots to create action. So like really that first year was helping him tighten that up. And as you do that, you kind of morph and try some different pitches. Your shapes change as you kind of change your slot. Not change your slot, but bring everything. What was his carrying pitch? His fastball. So let's bring everything to the fastball. So with that, like, we just found a better slider. He found a better slider that worked from that fastball slot that wasn't super sweepy. It was more depthy. It was more bullety. It was more gyro. And he went through 18 different grip variations to get there, and every week was,
this is in
season.
I
found it.
This is in season. Okay.
Man, I got it. I got it today. I got it. It clicked. And then he'll adjust. So it took about a year for him to find the bullet slider that he's been throwing for the past 3 years.
Is there a conversation, and this is where I'm going back to you being a pitching coach, is there a certain way to express? Because I know for me, man, especially when you struggle, that's when you got a pitching coach who's trying to reinvent the wheel. Hey, let's try this, let's try that. You have to be able to trust it, man. Again, you pitch, you understand what I mean by that, especially in season. And you got Logan Gilbert, because I remember there was a period there, and correct me if I'm wrong, where he was having success. He was doing well. But there was something you guys saw, because I remember he had a start, I think it was against the Blue Jays. He came out and he just kind of ditched a bigger breaking ball. I'm trying to remember the team. And I'm watching him like, hold on a minute. He was throwing the slider was way harder, like the velocity went up. And it was kind of he was getting rocked a little bit. I remember talking to you, he was like, oh yeah, we have to, the curveball's too, I guess it's a release point thing. It's not tunneling the same way. But for you as a pitching coach, it's not something he goes off and goes, oh yeah, just fix that. Is there? How do you word that, especially when you're talking 5 days in between starts? How do you send that message to say, all right, you're going to trust this to go face these bears out there, these 6'5" bears in about 4 days?
No more bears. I think the process that we've built in the minor leagues in our entire organization with our player plans makes these conversations easy.
Yeah.
We're meeting with them in the off season and helping build their off season programming and giving them goals to work on. We're meeting with them in spring training and basically like spelling out the entire season. Like, what are the goals? What are the action steps? And with Logan, it's more detailed and more deep driven than any other player.
Yeah.
He's turning over every stone to figure out how he can be a Cy Young. So that, and then in between starts, he comes in on his bullpen day and we debrief the game and we find the one or two simple things that we need to adjust or focus on this week, to whether that's with him or whether that's preparing for the next opponent.
Is that watching? Are we talking the setting? Is that watching video or
we don't
looking
watch
up?
a whole lot of video.
Nothing.
I mean, I get to watch the game from a good seat and then watch every pitch in between innings.
So what are you looking at, like to determine like the couple things after a start? What do you like? Is there something you're presenting? Is there, some like an analytical aspect to this where it comes in and says, hey, look, check this out?
We have our pitching portal is what it's called, which collects all of our information and data and displays it in a very simple, easy to digest. But you can go down any rabbit hole you want to. The main things for us, and again, like we talked about it earlier, it's not about who has the best stuff. It's who pitches in the best counts more often. And the reason why our guys are good, they have really good stuff. They're unique guys, but they pitch in good counts more than other people. And like, it sounds too simple, but if you're in the red zone more often than the other team, you're going to score more points. You may not score more touchdowns, but you're going to be able to score more points because you're there more often.
It's too simple for me.
It's too simple for people to trust. And they think it's so complicated because it's the big leagues. But that's when you tap away at all of the surface level stuff and you get down to the nucleus of the game. That's what it is.
Do you ever work with kids in the off season or like amateur players, like younger guys?
Not really.
Because I'm around it, man, and it is just constant. And I get it too. And you're starting to see, the injuries happen in regards to like the TJ, the Tommy John. They're trying to. Basically they're trying to curb it. I mean, MLB's coming out with different ideas, with six-man rotations, trying to incentivize going deeper into games, everything else. When you look at that, and just to give you a heads up, if you don't work with kids, it is straight max effort for 10 minutes when there's a recruiter watching or a pro scout watching, whatever it may be, and then they get to this situation where the summer rolls around and they've got to play in this tournament, that tournament, and then they're just crushing themselves at that young age in regards to like just empty in the tank, right? And by the way, too, travel ball, they're playing. This is what I never understand. MLB's a 6-month season, yet a 12-year-old's playing 10 months out of the year with no build-up. Plus, by the way, they're throwing 70 pitches on a Friday. I don't know.
Logging more innings than our guys.
Yeah, they're throwing 70 innings on like a Friday evening at some tournament, and then they're rolling over on Sunday, and because they pitch well and they're throwing 60, 70. But If you were to talk to a 16, 17-year-old to get it through their head to say, look, if you can get that second pitch or that really good pitch, it's plus. And I get it. You have to get to that threshold to be where you're a stud, man. You're throwing and you're showing velo and in that setting. But how do you get it through their head to say you will have a ton of success here if you get away from just trying to go max effort, spray the ball all over the place to show off for a recruiter and learn how to pitch a little bit?
Yeah, I wish I had more knowledge in this area. I think I will in the next 10 years as my boys grow up and get into that bracket. I'm hoping they're golfers, but just like anything, there has to be a balance, because there is a time and place. You have to push the velo button if you want to play at the next level.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
true.
I never threw hard. I threw strikes, but if I could go back, I wish I would have had, places like Driveline and these facilities, and just the information that we have now to train more efficiently, to train better.
Yeah.
But you also have to train command. You also have to train athleticism. You also have to train 18 other things, and you also should play other sports and not do that for 12 straight months. So like there is a balance is the key, and that I think that's one of the reasons why our guys are so successful is our HP group does a great job of helping them balance it all.
I do love the fact you mentioned Driveline. There is systems now, technology where they are training command, which is awesome. You go in there, I'm like, oh wow, and they're like, some R&D stuff,
and tracking it.
Yeah, and tracking it,
Yeah.
which is awesome. And it kind of incentivizes. So hey, there's some value here for sure. You ever had, whether it's in, and again, I'm not going to make you name names here. Have you ever had a situation where you've had a player that just flat out you cannot get whatever messaging through to them? They're just so stubborn, and especially in minor league baseball, you look back, oh man, that guy could have been really good. Not that he listens to me because I'm the pitching coach of the best rotation on the planet, but I'm saying a situation where you've had a pitcher who just flat out is just like, I'm good.
One doesn't come to mind.
Oh man, see, I was that guy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I swear, I may have driven some pitching coaches nuts back in the day. I'm sure.
I mean, we've had some guys that didn't pan out to what we expected them to be, but it's really hard to come to this organization from a different org or come up from the minor leagues and look around in that room and see what those guys are doing. And like, I'm not saying they drank the Kool-Aid, but like, you're the minority if you don't throw first pitch strikes. You're also just not going to be successful, and you probably won't be here very long. Like,
well, the reason I'm bringing this up, because on the flip side, I've spoken to Saucedo about this, Trent Thornton. They said that they had meetings when they first got here, and they're in a situation where they're trying to revive their career. Essentially, they've had some failures. Sauce was talking about it with the Blue Jays. They come in and they literally looked at each other because they both came from same orgs, and they said, "Hey," and they said to each other, "Have you ever had a meeting like that?" No, I've never had. No one's ever told me this information about myself. What are they referring to? Like when you bring in a guy like Saucedo, Trent Thornton in the bullpen, Seawald. I mean, there's the list goes on.
Spire, Snyder.
Yeah, all those guys. Steckenrider back in the day when he had that success. I mean, I can, Justin Topa, another example. There's a bunch. But they come
It's
in.
a fun game.
Oh, yeah, no, I can go all day. But they come in and it's like all of a sudden it's like, hold on a minute. You look up there, you go on Baseball Reference, a quick little search. You're like, dude, you had a 6 last year. And they're like, oh, well, we came in, we sat down, we prioritized this pitch in this location. Again, this goes back to why is this not more common with organizations when players come in? Like, what is that first meeting? How do you sit down? And you said if they don't drink the Kool-Aid, right, or they don't, get on board here, they're not going to be here that long. But what's that? Talk us through that meeting. When does that happen? How does that happen? What does it look like?
Some of them happen in the off season if we acquire someone, or like I remember talking to Seawald and Spire on a Zoom call, on a Teams call in the off season, but they happen in spring training, preferably at the beginning of spring training, so it gives them kind of a 5-6 week runway to work on what we give them, to practice what we give them, and to see so that we can see if they can execute it. And like to Seawald's point, like he didn't make the team out of camp. He wasn't on the opening day roster. It took him some time to figure this out. But I don't know why other teams don't. Again, like the meeting is about how can we help you simplify. There's 8,000 things going through your head on a daily basis, and there's 50,000 going through your head when you're stepping on the mound during a game. Like, how can we help you simplify it For some guys, they come in with 6 pitches. They think they're this Swiss Army knife. It's like, no, you're really good at throwing your 4-seam. It's unique. It's uphill.
Yeah.
Let's target the upper half with it. Let's get really freaking good at that.
Yeah.
Because without it, you're gonna continue being who you've been.
Right.
And your sweeper is really freaking good.
Because, will you believe it or not, man, I talk to guys around baseball, and because I've like, when I hear that from Saucedo, a bunch of these guys I've talked to, I ask other players, I'm not going to name organizations or players or anything, but when I was playing, I'd go in and I'd sign with a different team, trying to, revive my career or make a team, whatever. You come in, they're like, oh, you got a shot at making it. They give you, oh, we like your stuff. You go in, you are just guessing, man. You
Trust your stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Get ground ball, get the ball down and away. Oh God! But it was always this feeling like that you're just guessing, man. You don't know what and you can go in and ask him. You're only going to get the what you want to hear answer. There's nothing like this, right? And then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? It's 2024, 2025, and I'm talking to these guys. But then I talk to other players. Like, no, I'm going into camp. I have no idea where I stand. And I said, do you have a meeting? Do you go in and what they've identified? Some of them do. Some of them say, oh, yeah, they've identified this is what we want you to do, and you're going to make a team doing this. But some of them are like, hey, man, I'm going into camp. Mm-hmm. I'm just
blind.
It's amazing. It's a
scary place to be.
Oh, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And that's why I'm like, I'm hearing that. I'm like, oh, you watch guys come in to spring training with the Mariners, you're like, oh, okay, there's something there. They've had that conversation. There's probably just a different level of confidence because as a player,
that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That meeting is to help them find their confidence.
Right.
They've been kicked around. They've been beaten, and maybe not to the extent that they think they have. But as pitchers and players, we think that we remember that 3-run homer.
Right.
We don't remember the 21 scoreless innings. So they've been beaten and scarred, and that meeting is to help them realize how freaking good they are. They have something, whether that's a pitch, a couple pitches, a location, a skill set that can work at the big league levels. We just need to get them to believe in that more than we do. Man, again, it's one of these ones, man, because people ask me, hey, what do the Mariners do so well, especially on a national level? I'm like, well, they throw strikes. It's like, well, yeah, duh. But it's just there's just a different level of it. Now, I want to get into this. The day off, all right? So let's say Logan's pitching. Okay. Now, it's not opening day. Opening day is different because everyone's running out on carpet and looking awesome and fresh haircuts. And the not
whole
Logan.
Thing. Let's say we're talking, all right, let's set a scenario. We're talking early June. He's coming off rough one. He had a good one last time out. The day, and you guys have done.
I don't like this scenario.
Okay, he's just shoving. Like he's got a zero.
No, that's all right. He had a tough one.
Yeah, I'm saying he had a tough one. He's coming off a good one, and now all of a sudden we're rolling into play against the Royals. I don't know. You've done your bullpen session where you've sort of identified, given him that digestible information. Day of. What time do you get to the ballpark for a 7:00 game? What time's Pete Woodworth?
At home?
Up? Yeah, at home.
9.
Yeah, 9 a.m. So every day you're here at 9 a.m. basically. Okay, all right. All right, you hear that? You want to be a coach? It's all day. All right, so you're...
Some people think we're crazy.
Wait, you and who? You're rocking up. Is it just you hanging out? And
so the past couple years of...
crossword puzzles, right?
There's a lot of work to be done, and I don't like being rushed. I don't like... I'm not saying I need to check everything off, but there's a lot of things that I need to do before the players get here, before the meetings start, before we go out on the field. I have to prepare just like they do, and I have to work out. I have to exercise.
Okay.
So we get in here early.
So you got some woody time before we start.
Yeah.
Just spending all those hours on Logan, right?
Need some self-time. Need to take care of me before I take care of them.
Continue. Go ahead, because I want to get to when in the bolts of this, when you and Logan sit down. But so you get here at 9 a.m.
We're a long way from the start of pitcher meeting at 5:10.
So you guys meet at 5:10. So from 9 till 5:10, what out of that time you work out? You do your 20-minute jog on the treadmill and that's it. And maybe
I
some
wish
Pilates.
It was that quick. Work out, sauna, shower, eat. and then start breaking down last night's game.
Okay.
Going through the portal,
Gotcha.
watching the
So
video.
you haven't got to Logan just yet. You haven't got to Logan.
No,
that night.
I'm on Bryce from last night.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to debrief, to go over, and then we have an HP meeting where we meet with our athletic trainers and our strength coaches to go through how guys are that day, anything from their workload to, Mooney just went 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Came in, he was a little soggy last night. Like, it'd be great if we could give him the day.
Okay.
He might need a day, whatever. Like, those type of conversations.
And is this something like you're telling Dan, hey, listen, man, we might have to lay off?
Yeah, so that will then roll into our bullpen management meeting at around 1:32.
Okay.
Where we'll go through, we'll get the other team's lineup, so we'll have all of our information and just kind of set up our management of the bullpen that night. We got this left-handed pocket. We're playing the Royals, so we got let's see, we got Melendez, Pasquantino, and Massey. 4, 5, 7. Like, that's a good pocket for Spire.
Gotcha.
We got Brash at the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
Whatever. We have our bullpen management meeting.
And this is all like 1:30, 2 o'clock. You guys sit around in person.
Yep. If we're at home, we're
Okay.
in the conference room. There's 6 to 8 people in there.
Okay. Who has the most input in that? Like, it's obviously you with Dan, the staff, obviously.
I think that's the beauty of this meeting and how we've been doing this the past 5 years is that there is no dictator.
Okay.
Like, it is a collaboration. Right. You're getting input from, again, like the HP, the high performance group. You're getting input from Trent, our director of pitching, our head strategist. You're getting input from Joel Furman, our lead analyst. You're getting input from Sam, our advanced scout.
Okay.
Me, Dan Wilson. Like, there's just a bunch of minds coming together to help put together the best bullpen management for that night.
So then Logan comes in. You said 5:10. You guys sit down. Who's sitting in that meeting? And where's it at? Is it in the clubhouse?
Yeah, we have a players' lounge in the clubhouse.
Okay.
That we can have some privacy.
Okay.
I do think that's important because on the road there's times where we're doing it in the middle of the clubhouse or we're doing it in the gym in a storage closet. It's just not the same. That's why we're good at home. We have this private room. That's why. It's Cal Raleigh. It's Mitch Garber. It's the starting pitcher. It's me and our advanced scout Sam.
Okay.
And me and Sam are there to provide color. This is the starting pitcher and catcher meeting.
All right, so they're dictating. Like, is Cal doing most of the talking if he's catching that night?
For the most part, yeah.
Is it going through from 1 through 9? Hey, listen, lead off. Bobby Witt. This is how we're gonna.
Yeah.
Video involved?
It kind of starts with like an overall theme.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But a lot of times it's like, hey, like, let's go through it. Let's go right into it. Cal's leading most of them. I feel like the better games, the starting pitcher does have some affirmative, some sort of not back and forth, but that's kind of a common denominator of the really good ones is that starting pitcher comes in with a conviction, with whether it's for all 9 or for this case, like for Bobby Witt, like I'm doing this, I'm beating the tar out of him with this. And again, like I think that's part of why these guys are successful is they have that confidence.
Do you ever have? I know the guys in the rotation said they watch each other's bullpens and stuff. Do you ever have any other pitchers come and join the meeting or give input? No, it's always just and not to mess around, but like to come in and say, hey man, listen, I got this or that or nothing like that. It's just straight Cal, Logan, you, advanced scouting.
Yep.
What visuals do we have?
Sometimes Sauce is asleep in one of the chairs in the background.
You know, boot him out,
so sometimes Sauce hears what the plan is.
With a newspaper, just whack him off. So he knows, man. He's up in the bullpen.
Yep.
He's like, oh yeah, Logan's
He's got
doing
the secrets.
this. I'm good. What visuals are we talking? Are we watching video, or we just going? Is it we talking paper?
Not
or we
on
talking
day
iPad?
of. They get their pitcher game plan
Okay.
on their bullpen day before that starts, so
Gotcha.
they know.
Okay.
They start getting an idea of who those guys are. But again, like Logan's pitched against the Athletics what seems like 80 times in the past 4 years. He knows who Brent Rooker is. But they have their information. Cal gets all the information. The first day of a series, we have a catcher's meeting where we go through our last series and debrief all of our pitchers, get the catcher's input on what they saw. They have the best view. And then going into the next opponent. So Cal and Garv, our catchers, are equipped with all the information, and they're just kind of bringing that to the starting pitcher meeting. Also, what they've done and seen in the past, what they've done and saw last night.
Has there ever been, obviously, pitchers have had so much success, but has there ever been moments where it's kind of like, not hostile, but like where, Cal's like, not calling someone out, but he seems to be that team leader. I know he had a conversation, with Brian Wu about, hey man, look, we need you, not in a hostile way, but it was more of like a, listen, like, hey, what's it going to take to get over this hump where you can pitch, so regularly? Does it ever get, like, in any of these meetings last couple of years, was there ever times where it gets a little bit not so like, oh, hey, everything's roses? Because it's not always that way, right? I mean, there's got to be something where someone has to keep someone accountable or anything in regards to that when you're talking about these meetings?
He talked about the rotation being one of the best on the planet. A huge part of that is because of Cal Raleigh.
Okay.
He is that person that keeps him accountable.
Really?
And Logan will have some ideas. Bryce will want to do this, and Cal won't.
Yeah.
It's not always, but a lot of times he's like, no, we're not doing that. That's not your strength. Don't try to outthink this. Don't try to trick people. Do what you do really well. And Logan and Cal have been together for a long time.
Right.
They've got a great relationship. Their starting pitcher meetings are very entertaining. I wish the world could see it. If we got that chance to be that documentary, I think the Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert starting pitcher meetings would be probably a highlight for a lot of people. But there's times where they kind of go back and forth, and Logan wants to do this, and Cal wants to do this, but they have that relationship, and they're able to figure it out, and it's not Well, unfortunately, we haven't had any fists thrown in starting pitcher meetings. It hasn't got that hostile.
Well, Logan said on the show, he said that you don't really shake off Cal unless you fake shaking your head. He said he does. He said, but some of the younger guys, won't. If they do, Cal will be like, we'll need a complete, like you need an absolute full-on, PowerPoint presentation, explanation as to why you're shaking to that pitch.
There was a time last year where Bryce shook and Cal called the same pitch that he originally called.
Right,
and
that's exactly what Logan
he
said.
He called it again. He shook again. He called it again. And I got down to like 3 seconds. He was like, all right, guess I got to throw this. He won't let him throw something dumb.
Right, okay.
Not, when the game's on the line.
Yeah. The other thing is, too, people don't realize, like, you have this plan and this strategy and you go over these meetings, but you get to inning number 3, man, and all of a sudden Logan is like, hey, this pitch feels amazing, right? So you go off script, right, to everything you talked about. Or is that, true, right? It's not like you stick into that script. But what about, I want to switch gears here. What's the conversation like with you and Dan on the top step of the dugout? And you're starting to see, a pattern here. You're starting to see someone scuffle. Like, who sort of kicks off the conversation? Hey, listen, we have to start figuring out this bullpen, so I have to make a change right here. Who's kicking that off, you or Dan, or how's that work?
What's the score?
It's, all right, playing the Royals. Logan's pitching, but he's starting to get hit a little bit. The command's starting to go. You've watched him that many times. There could be a little fatigue here. Obviously, you don't want to take him out of the game. It's not going to happen during the regular season, but it's happening in like the fifth inning. Let's call it the fifth inning. You and Dan are up there, right? Other coaches are around you guys. Who's initiating the, hey, listen, this is what we're seeing, and then the conversation as to how we're going to start mapping this out?
What's the score? Are we winning
You guys
or
are
are
up
we
by,
losing?
yeah, it's 3-1.
Okay.
Whack, base hit. You got that pocket.
Get Matt Brash hot.
Okay. Is that you? It's all it is. It's just you hate.
So earlier in the day in our bullpen management meeting, we have set up that tonight Trent Thornton is going to be our pivot in an up game,
Okay.
and Austin Voth is going to be our pivot in a down game.
Do you ever go off script though? Like, is there ever a time where Dan or you or Trent or whoever it is?
No.
Really? Where it's a gut
Very,
feel. I'm
very
talking-
rarely.
where I'm get- where I'm
why
getting with
why
this-
have the meeting? Why
because-
set it up if you're going to let emotion make decisions?
Because there has to be a little bit of that gut feeling.
That's where people go wrong.
Okay.
You sat down and made decisions based on logic and knowledge and sense, and then when the game emotions and pressures kick in, you do something completely different.
All right. Well, what if you have your guy who's dealing the last 5 starts? It's the 3rd inning, 4th inning, and you can see right away this is not the same as the last 3 to 4 outings.
He doesn't have it today.
He doesn't have it. You got to go off your gut, and you have to go off script a little bit, surely. Or is that all strategy? You're not talking strategy 3rd, 4th inning where so and so's completely derailed, even though he's coming off 5 good outings.
If Logan doesn't have it and he's at 78 pitches in the 3rd inning, and
Still a close game though.
it's the 3rd inning, so you're pivoting with one of those two guys.
Okay.
That's still the guy.
Still the guy.
And then you're going to have to use some guys in higher leverage situation in that game that you didn't plan for.
Well, you know what's going to happen during games. You guys are going to make mistakes. And I'm going to be like, oh, hey, you got to trust your gut. These coaches are just not trusting their gut. That's why I'm going to throw you under the bus during the game. because
Deal.
No, listen, it's amazing, man. So it's that initial, and then you go from there, and then you have to pick up the pieces. I get it. Okay, I get it. I understand. And again, man, I just feel like times have changed. Definitely times have changed, and for the better, I guess, because you guys have got something figured out with that pitching staff. That's for sure.
I also don't have 60 years of managing in the big leagues to have that gut feel and instinct. Like I need to use.
Not many people do. Yeah.
I need to use my brain. I need to know what I know, and we need to set it up. Not set it up, but we need to run through those scenarios earlier in the day because 100%. Those two scenarios are going to happen. Logan needs help and we're either winning or tied, or Logan needs help and we're down.
Yeah.
And then you just press one of those two buttons.
Right.
Are you up? Are you winning in the 7th inning? Are you in this pocket? Boop.
When they're warming up, is there times you're like, oh man, it's going to be a special day? Can you see in the warm up pitches, or vice versa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they'll trick you.
Let's all right. Let's go like Luis Castillo. When he's warming up, what is it about him? You're like, oh man, it's game over. What are you seeing in those warm up pitches?
There's just a higher level of intensity, and I mean, this guy has more gratitude and love for being a big leaguer than anybody I've ever seen. He enjoys being there.
Yeah.
So you see him having a lot of fun. And at times you think he's not competing. That dude's competing all the time.
Right.
There's some times where there's just a different look in his eye. There's a different finish to his stuff. You can even see him playing catch with Fleming Baez in the outfield before he even gets to the bullpen. You're like,
really?
Like he's got 5th gear.
Is there ever a time where you have to like intervene and be like, hey man?
Yeah.
Like you're not at that intensity. Okay. And he's cool with that. He's totally open to that. And that's what makes him.
That's what the job is.
Awesome.
Is you have to help them.
Yeah. Was there ever a time
maneuver
where you
those
didn't want to
gears.
intervene in a warm-up session where you're like, oh man, I've got this dude who's pitched for X amount of years and he's a stud, and because you didn't feel like you had that relationship yet?
Very early on.
Yeah.
Again, I made the mistake of thinking big leaguers had it all figured out. And I, get the opportunity to coach Marco Gonzalez, a handful of guys that have been doing it and successful for a lot of years. And it was the exact opposite. They're like, coach me, help me, motivate me,
It's awesome.
teach me, don't let me stray, hold me accountable. And that's when it kind of clicked. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're 40 or 4. Like, that's what they need.
Last year, when you were around this time, I asked you, and I'll let you go after this. I've kept you way too long. I said, when pitcher X is doing this, it's going to be a good day, right? I don't know if you remember doing that, and we went through each of them. We've got 6 of them, right? I'm going to Emerson Hancock, who's starting the year. We do have some fan questions too. Now, one fan question we had on Twitter was, is there ever a thought of a 6-man rotation with this team? Has that ever come up? Whether it be from a health standpoint or because you've got the luxury to maybe do it if Emerson's killing it and when George comes back?
Yeah. It's above my pay grade.
Okay.
I enjoyed it when we did it back in 21. There had been times where I see the luxury in it, having guys get the extra day, but I want Logan to pitch as often as possible. I want Louis to pitch as often as possible. I want
stars.
Bryce and Wu and George.
Absolutely.
I would hate to skip a day.
Right. No, I'm with you on that until if Emerson is just punching tickets, I know it's above your pay grade. I know a couple of people I can chat to and get that done for you.
Talk to the Jays.
Yeah. All right. Now, I'm not going to make you do bold predictions because I don't think. First of all, I tried to ask Logan, what's next, man? I mean, All-Star, obviously Cy Young,
Gold Glove.
Oh, okay.
Who cares about a Cy Young?
Logan's shooting for a Gold Glove.
Win a Gold Glove.
How hard is that for a pitcher?
You throw 100 and you're 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
You should win a Cy Young.
Right.
But you shouldn't win a Gold Glove.
Yeah. There you go. I like it. He should. Okay, Logan Gilbert. That's the prediction from his pitching coach. Win a gold. If he wins a Gold Glove, that's it. Statue out the front here, Hall of Fame, because that means he's doing everything
hear
right.
the end of it.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. I talked about you intervening during a warm-up session. For each player, we'll start with Logan Gilbert.
Okay.
It's 2025, All-Star last year, dominating. It's a really good pitching staff. But what would you tell Logan Gilbert to get him to another level, or to get him right before a start?
To get him right before a start? Last 5%.
Last 5%.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Something that it's probably the thing I say most to Logan. It's something that he talked about in 21. Everybody wants to throw the pitch. They want to throw it harder. They want to throw it nastier. They want it to be better, and they do it too early. They're starting to throw back here. They're starting to throw before their foot lands. They're anxious. They're all the normal feelings and emotions and mistakes that we make. Logan's at his best when he's throwing the last 5% of the pitch, the finish. You 1,000 ways to say the same thing, but that's something that we talk about constantly and would help him get ready.
I'm going to steal that when he's pitching, by the way, when I'm doing games. All right, now what about Luis Castillo? What are you telling him? What's that one thing?
Títalo.
What does that mean?
Oh, the same thing. It means finish through it.
Right.
Yeah,
but
throw through the catcher. Don't throw to the glove.
Gotcha.
Throw through it. Throw 70 feet, not 60.
What about Bryce Miller?
Oof.
Was there a time he talked
Coke
about
can?
What?
Coke can.
Coke can. All right.
A visual that helped him was pretending there's a Coke can sitting on top of the catcher's head, and that's what he's trying to hit.
Really?
With his four seam.
Yeah, old school. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, what about Brian Wu? What do you got for him?
Commit.
Okay.
Just commit to that pitch. Whatever it is, whatever the count.
So that's if he's going a little deeper, like third best pitch, getting away from that fastball, third at bat. It's about like that conviction in that pitch.
And commit to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Trust it. Commit.
All right, last one. Emerson Hancock. What do you got for him?
Be Emerson.
What does that mean?
We have a lot of talent and a lot of unique. All the guys you just named are completely different human beings that throw from completely different slots with completely different arsenals. we as people and players can try to compare ourselves to others and try to be like others. Emerson's at his best when he's Emerson, and he knows who that is. I think it was a huge development for him last year. It's tough. You get to the big leagues and you've been dreaming about this your whole life, and you're not 100% sold that you belong there. There's always that little bit of doubt and hesitation.
Right.
Like that's Shohei Ohtani. Like that's Mike Trout. I'm supposed to be here with those guys. Emerson figured that out last year and started to truly believe I am a big leaguer and I can be really freaking good. The more he's Emerson, the better he is.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see him. Again, I don't want to see Georgia, but I love it when guys get that little window and what they do with it. You know, it's huge. All right. Now, we've had a pretty intense conversation. I've kept you for too long, but we do have to finish with How to Speak Australian. This is brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi. You can go to @thetopstep TV and play along. All right. How to Speak Australian. Here we go. So this is going to be a multiple choice. Okay?
Okay.
The sport is cricket. Do you know anything about cricket? Now, I did this with Logan. It's kind of easy. It was easy, but I think he still messed it up. I'm trying to remember if you got it right. You can go back and check, and you can play along. All right. Wiki.
I'm more of a highlight guy.
What?
I'm more of a highlight guy than cricket, but yeah, go on.
Listen, just... Yeah. All right. If I'm playing wiki in cricket, what does that mean? Is a wiki a bowler? A. B, is it like similar to a catcher? Or C, is it playing in the outfield?
The wiki's the bowler.
Incorrect. The wiki is the wicket keeper, which would be the catcher.
The wicket keeper.
Yeah, the wicket keeper. I could have given you wicket keeper. I didn't want to make it easy. That would have given it away.
Cal Raleigh, wiki.
Cal Raleigh's playing wiki on opening day. Yeah. Okay. Cal Raleigh's going to be playing wiki in the All-Star game. How's that sound?
The wicket keeper.
Well, I've got to figure out the spelling too, by the way. But you can play along at the Top Step TV. Pete didn't get it. Follow us at the Top Step TV. Big thanks to Kangaroo and Kiwi. Pete, this has been awesome, man. Thank you.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Good luck this year.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.